CardGamesTV1 Podcast. DBS. The current state of the game. Just some random thoughts. Ideally, I would like to go to this upcoming tournament by the Hill Twins. They even personally invited me through one of their live streams. They insisted that I need to come through. I agree. I would love to come through. I am, trying to figure out how to get there. I'm trying to get there on time so that way I can enter the event, but I can't. So far, I'm having trouble guaranteeing I can get there on time for the event. So the best I could do is at least be there. So I'm gonna at least work on that. At least work on being there for the event, even if I don't get to play. At least I'll be there, to lend some support. Be there just to at least be there. Plus, there's probably people that'll be there that would like to see me in real life, talk to me, ideally of card games, right? But we'll see. I'm kind of jinxing it by even talking about it. I always hate doing that, talking about something, because it might jinx it, it might make it not to come true. That does tend to happen. So I tend to try not to talk about it, but I'll see what I can do with this situation. I really want to go. I would like to compete. I would like to play. It is an opportunity. The issue is travel time and the date. Ironically, if this was on a Sunday, it would be easier if it was on a Sunday. But it's on a Saturday, and I work on Friday overnight. So when I get off of work, it's Saturday morning. But the time to travel, and I take public transportation, so trying to get to transportation to get to another transportation to get me to another transportation to get up to New York from Philly, and then play, right, compete and whatnot, and then come back. So a lot of travel time, as well as, that's the thing, it's the time that's an issue. And the event's gonna be around 10 in the morning. I get off at 7 in the morning, which means I got 3 hours, less than 3 hours to try to get there. And that's not always in my favor. Shit, it takes up to an hour for me to get, after I get off of work, to get on a bus and start heading out. So, because I personally don't drive. It would be faster if I drive, and I can get there on time if I drive, but I don't drive. So public transportations would be the way for me to go. That's part of the issue. I mean, if I had a car, I'd be able to go, and it wouldn't be a problem. It's the fact that I have to use other means of transportation. But anyway, card games. So of course I'm working on some decks and stuff that in case I do end up going there to be able to compete, I want to make sure I have some decks that I can play, that I would like to play. So far, Hatchyyack, Blue Hatchyyack is the deck that I'm going with. Right now, my Blue Hatchyyack mill deck. Been doing some testing, and it's doing good so far. I ordered a couple cards to, hopefully they get here sooner than Saturday. Currently, right now it's Tuesday, 4 in the morning. So hopefully it'll get here. The cards will get here, because they're definitely important cards for the Hatchyyack deck. Specifically, the Majin Buu Pure Destroyer Z Battle card. I ordered 2 because 2 definitely works really good in the deck. So I was thinking just using 1, but it turns out that 2 is definitely necessary. I mean, I could recycle the 1, but having 2 is useful, because I recycle the 1, but if I ever need the second one, in case I'm in a situation where I can't recycle the first one, then I have the second one as a backup. Especially if I end up warping, because I do have Overwhelm in the deck, so if I end up warping the 1-drop, yeah, of course I could always get it back with Power Burst, we get it, but still being able to play it out is necessary. So 2 is good. It's not like I need more than 2. 2 is a good number. So there's that. that cost me like about $6.50 each. Let's see, a couple other units for other decks. Upgrading other decks, and of course I'm be making deck profiles. I'll be posting them soon. Right now, working on another Hatchyyack deck besides the Blue Mill one, which I already posted the profile for. We got the red. Well, we got the red Hatchyyack deck, the Gogeta burn deck. That's the Gogeta Vegito burn. Still trying to figure out a name for it, but essentially it's Vegito Unison that deals 1 damage if my opponent has no battle cards. So there's a strategy, there's some combos in the deck to clear your opponent's board in order to facilitate the use of that effect to burn your opponent for 1, right, for game. Then of course there's the 10-drop Gogeta, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, that if you have red energy, you can burn your opponent for 1 damage. So that's in the deck. So there's 2 ways to burn my opponent in the deck. I'm trying to think, is there a third way? Technically I had a third way, but then I took it out. The funny thing is the burn is not really for winning the game. Like, deal 1 damage and game over, right? Ideally that's what you want, but it's really for winning in time. So right now, because competitive play is time based, that's the number 1 top priority, is making sure you have a strategy for winning in time. And then, your usual stuff like winning through damage, or winning through mill, or winning through battle damage. But winning in time is important, because time does get in the way. And part of the problem with time getting in the way is that they have time for a match, but they don't have time for turns. And so they don't have turn timers or turn limits to prevent somebody from being able to burn time, right? Waste time in a game, which creates problems. And also can create slow play, or that can allow slow play, or your opponent's probably having like 12 or 24 effects that they can turn on and off. They can use in a single turn, and every turn they're activating multiple effects. Because imagine if you're like, activate leader effect, attack with a leader, activate the leader's draw ability, right? Combo, right? That's 3 steps right there. That's 3 actions. That takes time, right? That could take like 3 plus seconds each, right? Per thing. So you gotta think of like every action, every time you activate an effect and then resolving the effect, how much time that takes. So like, that's why it's like, I made videos about it before for masterclass about time burning, which is literally using effects to have you search, and then activate another effect to have you search, then activate another effect that has you search. And if you keep doing it, you're literally burning out of time, because of how much time it takes for you to resolve all these effects. And the more effects of these you have every turn, the better, right? And if they're active mains, right, so you can use them every turn, then you'll just use them every turn. So every turn you'll be like leader effect, swing, leader effect, unison effect, swing, unison effect, right? As an example, battle card effect, swing, battle card effect. Right? If you're using cards that have multiple effects that you can keep activating every turn, you're doing a lot of things, right? Your charge phase takes time. Tapping your energy to play something takes time. Attacking takes time. Comboing takes time. Counter comboing, waiting for your opponent to choose to block or negate or out combo takes time. So many things to take time to do, and that's why the turns not having a time limit creates the problem where it's like somebody could literally take 15 minutes on their turn, and unless somebody's keeping track of the time and be like, yo, okay, you're taking way too long, like you took 7 minutes last turn and right now you're taking 8 minutes this turn. That's ridiculous how much time you're taking for your turns, right? But since there's nothing preventing people from taking as long as they can, not want, can, right? Because if they wanted to take time, then that'd be slow playing, and of course that'd be against the rules. But if they can take a lot of time because they have so many effects to resolve, doesn't go against the rules of the game. When you have a lot of effects to use, you can use it. There's no rules that says you're only allowed 2 or 3 effects per turn, right? Like, there's no limiting of what you can do a turn except your cards. Your cards limit you, right? If you don't have a lot of effects, then you're not going to resolve a lot of effects. But if you do have a lot of effects, then you can resolve a lot of effects. And that creates a problem because now you can literally burn a lot of time just activating a lot of effects. Imagine if your whole deck literally consisted of cards. I had that idea. I was going to like make a deck where literally the whole premise of the deck is everything is search. The leader searches, unison searches, battle card searches, play extra deck that extra cards to searches, Z battle cards to search, right? Like, you know, it'd be ridiculous, right? Like playing a whole bunch of stuff to search, right? That way you literally can waste time every turn doing a whole bunch of searching, which would be ridiculous, right? To literally do that much searching, I still gotta create that deck just to prove a point, just to prove how ridiculous it is if you literally had a deck that burns so much time, and then of course play on somebody on tap and whatnot, and show like how much time can literally be burnt with this. I mean, I've done the time burning thing where I was just playing against some people, where I, you know, took my time. Well, not took my time, but I played certain cards that had certain effects, and I resolved them one after another, you know, and I wasn't in a hurry to resolve them all, you know what I'm saying? You know, I look at the top 5 cards in my deck and figure out which one I'm going to keep, grab one, put the rest back, shuffle a couple times, 1 or 2 times. That's the thing, shuffling. Like, if you shuffle your deck like 3, 4, 5, 6 times, there's no rules against how many times you can shuffle your deck per se. I mean, there is a limit. I mean, logically, like, some people could be like, okay, you're shuffling like 10 times. That's ridiculous. You're stalling, right? That'd be too obvious. But if you shuffle like 2 to 3 times, and then have your opponent cut, so that's another action that is burning more time, right? So technically you shuffle the deck 4 times if you think about it at the time. So that's 4 actions wasting time. If those 4 actions, let's say, took up 6 seconds, that's important. That's an important thing. I mean, if it took a minute, just 1 minute matters, right? If you take 1 minute, that's a big deal. I've had scenarios where I've taken 5 minutes for just 1 turn. My opponent took like 6 minutes for their turn. You know? And again, it's like deciding what you're gonna combo, and then comboing, activating effects, especially if you play super combos, right, where you draw a card, or you have to put look at the top card of your deck, or if you're playing super combo that says look in your deck and send a card to your drop, like the Dr. Duel super combo, you can take advantage of that, right? Go through your deck and, you know, look for what you're going to send to the drop, and then send it, right? And if it takes a minute or 2 for you to do that, then it took a minute or 2 for you to find a card to send to the drop. That can happen, right? So that's the thing, is a lot of these types of cards that have you search, you know, can take some time. That's why using stuff like like I said, any time you add a whole bunch of search effects, draw effects. That's the thing about draw effects. Draw effects are nice, but the thing about draw effects is that they're a little bit faster. Search effects as your draw engine. So if you can replace a lot of your draw cards with search effects instead, so that way you can still plus, right? You know, still adding cards to your hand, keep your hand size thick, but add the extra step of having to search out the cards to add to your hand. You know, instead of playing a leader where you draw, you would play a leader where you search instead. That way, it takes longer for you to add a card to your hand than from drawing. So that way, it burns time. You get what I'm saying? Like, it is unfortunate that we have, you know, competitively this time thing. You know, especially when the turns don't have time limits. And since the turns don't have time limit, you can't make sure that everybody has a adequate amount of time to play the game that's equal. It's very unequal, because if my opponent has a lot of draw effects, their turns tend to be faster than my turn will be, because my turn, I'm doing a whole bunch of searching, so all my effects are slower, because all my effects take longer to resolve. So that gives me the unfair advantage inherently, don't get me wrong, it's inherently an unfair advantage because I'm taking so long just to search to add a card to my opponent just had to draw the top card, that's it. It didn't take that long. So that's why I like these time duels, I understand we gotta have, we have to, competitively we have to have a certain amount of time limit to play our matches, but it creates an unfair situation where if one player has a lot of search effects while his opponent doesn't, that gives that player more time, which means more turns, because every time it's their turn, the turn takes longer. By the time it gets to the opponent's turn, the opponent has less time. Especially if you're the player that searches a lot and you go first, right? That means by the time the game ends, it will end on your opponent's turn, right? Before they even get to do anything, it gets to the turn, time runs out, boom, you win in time if you have more life than your opponent, which wouldn't be too difficult for you to have more time, especially if you spend spend a lot of your time dealing damage. That's the thing. Since you spent more time, you had more turns, and you got to attack a lot, especially a lot of double strike. It benefits you. Granted, they took away Chomp and Easter Pink Kai from us, so it makes it a little harder to add double strike into decks that might not have a lot of double strike. But it still can be incorporated. There's some overwhelm cards, and there's some stuff in the game that you can play. You could take into the deck to give you double strike. The Jerry in Unison, he gets double strike. You could play him in red. Try to think of something else that has double strike. There's some leaders that have the ability to gain double strike, so you can take advantage of that. What's you call it? There's like a couple decks that inherently in their archetype has a card that gives them double strike. What was it? Androids have the Dr. Jarol card that you combo and gives you double strike to your androids. There's some leaders, like I said, have double strike. There's I think it's the Turles deck, the Tree of Might. No, not Tree of Might. It's the fruit. I think it's the fruit from the Tree of Might. Gives you double strike. The King Cold deck with the field cards. One of the field cards gives you 10k in double strike. So technically, we still have Chomp and Easter Pink Kai in the game. It's just most of them are in green or yellow. So there's some effects that still gives you can still give something double strike. So it still exists, just not as generic as Chomp and Easter Pink Kai were, obviously. But like I said, you could just put some overwhelm cards that have double strike, or battle cards that have double strike, or unison that have double strike, or anything that can attack more than once, so you can increase your chances of potentially doing 2 damage a turn. And that's another thing. Playing stuff that has dual attack, like leaders that can attack twice, battle cards, unisons that can attack twice, we could take longer, right? Because that's an extra attack, that's an extra step. So you attack with the leader, right? Then you gotta combo or not combo, then your opponent has to combo or not combo, right? Then you restand and attack again. Now you gotta do that process all over again. So those type of stuff. This video is not all about time burning, obviously. I just wanted to point that out, that that's a thing that we tend to do, or we can do, because of the time stuff. In casual play, there's no time limit. You play the game until the game is over. Competitive play, you play until time runs out, so that's why I'm talking about time burning and using effects and playing decks and strategies that deliberately give you the time advantage of being able to spend more time on your turn, because you have so much to do that wastes so much time that inherently you'll spend more time playing the game than your opponent. Your opponent will spend more time waiting for you to finish your turn so they can try to play their turn. And sometimes they'll want to play the turns faster because they know your turn's going to take a while, so they want to play their turns fast. And then your turn, and then hopefully your turn, doesn't take too long. That way they can get back to their turn, and then they can make their plays. Because remember, their goal is to try to win out the game. Your advantage of being able to take forever for your turn to end because of all your search effects and your attacks and all the other abilities, will inherently make it hard for them to will inherently give you the advantage. So you'll win more in time because of that than you would for actually playing, beating your opponent through attacks and stuff like that. So you play your effects, you go on the offense, keep your defense up, and just keep doing it every turn. Effects, attack, defense. Effect, attack, defense. And that alone will give you the advantage. Right now I'm looking at my Burnhan deck. So that's a set 7 Gohan leader. Updating the deck because we got a nice little Gohan blocker, which is really nice to have to add it to the deck. So there's a Gohan Unison for the deck, which is nice, and of course we got Baby Juvenile Parasite, which is good for the deck as a draw engine as well as a way of removing any threats. Plus it has the ability to power up the leader a little bit, so it adds a little extra defense. So it definitely has good synergy with the leader. Then there's the Gohanks Ultimate Unison, right? Interdimensional Warrior Unison, which nice board wipe as well as a very powerful card. I've played it a couple times and it has put in a lot of work. It's a really strong card. Definitely was worth the purchase. Ironically, I accidentally ordered it because I ordered some other stuff and then somehow in TCU Player that was already in my cart and I didn't notice it. And when I purchased, I'm like, damn, how did my total get to this amount? And I realized that, it's because this card was in the cart and I ended up ordering it along with my other order, which not that big a deal. I could afford it. I just was waiting to buy it later, not that moment. But better late, sooner than later, right? So as long as I have it, I have it. That's all that matters. And definitely putting it to good use in my Gohan deck. So that's pretty nice to have. And I'm gonna do the Death and Taxes thing because it works pretty well, especially for an attack-based deck using the Death and Taxes strategy. Obviously, the Death part is board wipe capabilities, and the Taxes part is burn effects if my opponent decides to play counter skills, like the typical counter attacks, right? They play Oceanus or Topo or something like that, then they'll get burned for 1 damage. Or if they play a testing opposition, they'll get burned for 1 damage. Especially if they played it for free by taking a life. That's 2 life they lose just for trying to negate my attacks. So, gotta love that. And it's nice when you have 2 copies of the same card on the field that can burn your opponent for 1 damage if they play a negate. And they're already low at life, like 2 or 1 life. Because this leader, of course, can easily get your opponent down to 4 life, easily through its effect as well as through attacking. So getting your opponent down to 4 life is not that hard. Getting down to 2, not that difficult, of course. And then just setting them up so if they try to negate your attacks, they'll just end up killing themselves, which greatly increases your chances of your attacks getting through. Then, of course, the leader on the Awakened side, has the Sparking 7 ability where you can Sparking 5, my bad. Sparking 5 ability where you could pitch 3 cards from your hand and give all your red and green battle cards 10k power. So essentially super combo all your battle cards. Is really nice. So if you have a lot of battle cards in play, you could take full advantage of that and your opponent out. So if you have anything with at least 2,000 power, you can easily turn them into 3,000, which will make it really hard for your opponent to out combo because they'll need a minimum of 2,000 combo power per each attack. So they'll need 2 super combos per attack essentially, which might be very difficult. So there's that. What else? I was talking about the Gogeta deck, how it has burning abilities in it for the time burning stuff. Of course, I got some Unisons with blocker. I got the baby juvenile parasite in there to help me control the board, as well as be a draw engine. I got the Finn to help me reduce my opponent's board down to 1 by warping their board, except just 1 battle card. Then I use Baby Parasite to take away that battle card, so that way they have no battle cards, and then use Vegito, Unison of Might, in order to burn them for 1 damage. So of course you want to set up the baby juvenile as early as possible. Realistically, it'll be a turn 6 play, and then turn 7 is when you want to do the Finn baby combo along with Vegito. So Vegito and Finn is your turn 7 play, while baby will be your turn 6 play, because that's when you have 3 red energy for this. Obviously you're charging 3 black energy for awakening your leader, so you can attack and draw, obviously. So the idea is we are going to awaken the leader, and we're going to do a lot of nice little controlling shenanigans. We also have the 1-drop Z-Battle Majin Buu Pure Destroyer. He will also add to the ability of controlling your opponent's board. So the likelihood of your opponent having 0 battle cards for Vegito to do its thing is highly possible. Plus there's the added ability of its -2 ability to make it hard for your opponent to swarm the field with a whole bunch of battle cards, to prevent overwhelm and stuff like that. So this would definitely come in handy in that regard. So he acts as a floodgate, but he also acts as a win con through his burn effect, or at least, like I said, burn your opponents so they have less life than you, and you can win in time. So keep your defenses up, burn your opponent, attack your opponent, and make sure your life is higher than theirs, and you can win in time alone, or win by just burning them for game, right? So options. Working on my other decks, my Shenron deck. Definitely got some ideas there, where you pay 6 to bring back a whole bunch of Shadow Dragons. They're 30k, ideally with triple strike. Try to get 4 or more 30k with triple strike battle cards into play, but also be able to untap your at least 2 to 4. You just need 2, but if you can untap 4 energy, even better. Right, more energy the better, especially if you want to drop double Shenron, double Oceanus on your opponent on the following turn, right? Or do some Flying Nimbus Oceanus type play to just make it even harder for your opponent to hit you on the clapback if they manage to survive a turn 6 kill. Of course, you can Oceanus into turn 6, where turn 5 you Oceanus, so that way you can get to turn 6 and then try to go off on turn 6. But if you don't win on turn 6, because your opponent is prepared, then you can untap your energy and then try on turn 7, right? So the idea is just to make sure you can last beyond turn 6, because typically most people will be prepared for turn 6. So you want to unprepare them for turn 6, as it were. And there's a Unison, a Gogeta Unison, that can make it where they can't untap more than 2 energies. So that right there can help you reduce their ability to defend themselves. So that's an option. If you set it up right, you can pay 6, bring back all the 30k triple strikes, right? Use Shenron Figure Majesties. Hopefully you still have 7 or more cards in your drop, obviously. Untap 4 energy. And then, swing. And as soon as they try to play like Oceanus or something, or some floodgate negate, you can counter it with the cooler, retaliation cooler. And then boom, continue and go for game. So all you need is one of those triple attackers to get through, and you'll win, right? So that's a strategy I'm trying to fine tune, and I'll definitely need to go on untap and practice it. and of course make videos about it and post it and stuff, so y'all can use the idea. What else I'm working on? Zamasu, especially since God Ceiling Trunks is banned, definitely makes it easy to play certain strategies. And there's some new cards that can help ramp, so I'm going back to the ramp Zamasu, set 2 Zamasu strategy, where I can burn my opponent for 4 or up to 4 with Gogeta Frenzy Burst by having 15 energy. Might mess around with Biru's deck. People are playing that right now, because there are some good ramp cards that help ramp you to 16 energy. So, and then with God Sealing, again being banned, you don't have to worry about somebody God Sealing your 6-drop Vegeta, so it'd be easy to ramp, which is why, like I said, I'm going back to that strategy, because it's like, oh, okay, God Sealing is gone, so now I can use that strategy again, ramp. So there's that. Got some stuff for Bulma. Anything new? Pretty much same old. I think I'm going to try to incorporate the Vegito Unison into Bulma and use that as a burn strategy. But of course I have the Fireball strategy with the Piccolo Giant Force, so I could burn my opponent that way, or with Vegito, so I have those as options. Couple stuff. There's some new toys out there, some new Ultimates to mess around with, so we'll see. But so far, just fine-tuning some old decks and making them a lot more streamlined and synergistic, so I can get their combos off better, which is always good, man. You gotta get your win con to win, right? So you gotta make sure you have the synergy. And then, of course, play testing, so you can get used to the strategy and the lines of play. Because you always have to learn the main strategy, the main lines of play. Duel by numbers, right? Turn 1 you play this, turn 2 you play that, the usual. But then through actual play testing, you'll learn that if you're in a certain situation, you have to change up your strategy a little bit. You can't. You practice you build your deck based off of solo play, like as if you're playing by yourself, right? Turn 1, turn 2, blah blah blah. But when you actually play against somebody, they're going to try to interrupt your plays, so you got to know how to deal with that, and how to change up, and how to switch up your lines of play based off of your opponent. But you have to have a game plan. You have to have a preset strategy that will get you to win the game. And then your opponent, of course, will try to stop you. And then you have to try to stop them from trying to stop you, so that we can win through your win con, right? Through your strategy. So you gotta get really good at memorizing your turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, turn 4 plays, right? And that also includes your turn 1, turn 2, turn 3 defensive plays, right? It's not enough to just play your cards. You also have to take account how you're going to defend. Are you going to take damage? Are you going to out combo the attack, and so forth and so forth? Those things matter. So that's the kind of stuff I play out. Like my Hatchyyack deck, for example, I will be comboing turn 1. Most of my decks I tend to combo turn 1. Now, back in the day, I would just take the damage, but now I'll combo turn 1. Because turn 1, turn 2 are the easiest time for damage to be dealt. Turn 3 and above gets harder to deal damage, especially because of floodgate negates like Topo and Oceanus and stuff like that. And it's easy for you to establish, a unison that can block and all that other good stuff. So after turn 2, it gets harder to deal damage. So that's why you don't want to take damage turn 1, turn 2. So you block turn 1, turn 2, but make sure you deal your opponent damage turn 1, turn 2. Because after turn 2, turn 3 and above, it's going to be harder for you to deal damage. It's going to be harder for your opponent to deal damage. So keep that in mind. and then go from there. What else that's on my mind? And just playing some card games. I'm playing Marvel Snap, so that's another game I play. Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to the Dragon Ball Super client, so that I can play the game on my phone. So that'd be nice. So it'd be more convenient to be able to play the game on demand, as it were. Granted, I have the Untap app, so I can play on Untap, but it's not the same as if it was a client. Because I'm not perfect. Even I can play a card wrong. So having a client would be a good way to learn how to play cards right. Check out the synergy of certain cards. See what works, what doesn't work. You know, I've had some scenarios where I was on Untap playing a certain combo and realized, oh wait, this doesn't work. Like that's awkward. Like, oh shit, this does not work the way I thought it did. Like I did something once with the Videl duel Videl, whatever her name is, Miraculous Duel Videl, and she's right here. Nope, that's the wrong deck. Oh no, so I don't have it here. Well, anyway, and I used it to grab the Videl one drop, but that's the one that's dual. The other one's Miraculous 8. All right, so I used Miraculous 8 to get Videl dual Videl, whatever. And I can't because I can only get 3 cards or less Saiyan, not Earthling, and she's an Earthling, not a Saiyan. So that was a misplay. But at least now I know no one's half the battle. But it was the fact that I did make that play, and it's like, oh damn, that was wrong. That was a wrong play. That was cheating, right? That was a wrong play. I'm not allowed to do that. So that's something I would have learned faster or sooner. If I was playing with like a client or something, I would have realized that that's not a legal play. That's the thing about playtesting. I mean, granted, in general, playtesting, reading your cards, all that stuff is important because it makes you a better player when you realize what does and doesn't work. That's the important part. It's not enough to just have good cards and a nice, finely tuned deck, right? When you play test, it's not for the deck, it's for you. I always hate it when somebody be like, oh, I'm play testing, Vegex, or I'm play testing Dark Broly or some nonsense like that. I'm like, you're not play testing those decks. Those decks are already built with a strategy already, pre-built. A turn 1, turn 2, turn 3 plays. Like, you're not play testing it. You're playing the deck, but you're not play testing it, right? And the thing is like, you're not play testing the deck. When you play, quote unquote, play test, right? You are play testing. The play test is for you, not for the deck. It's for you. It's for you to get good at the game. For you to decide what's the best pattern of comboing. Should you combo offense? Should you combo defense? Like now, comboing offensive is okay because we have Z energy, Z battle cards, right? So I'm not against the idea of comboing offensively because you can use it to help you play something, especially if you're playing a blocker. So attacking, comboing, so that we can make something strong when you're attacking. So you force your opponent to have to either take the damage or out combo, but then play something from your Z deck to defend yourself with. Like one of those 1 energy, 1 Z energy blockers that we have in the game. That way, comboing offensively is not a bad idea, right? That way, in case you do need to combo offensively. But typically, comboing defensively is, I still prefer, but like once or twice when I was doing test hands, I did have to combo offensively to set up Z energy for a certain play. So you get rewarded for comboing offensively, but I prefer to combo defensively. Let's see. I think that's all I got to say for now. That's the end of the podcast.